Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm here with another. My name is Maria. I'm here with another amazing live session with Vapi. As you know, we are doing our live session on different amazing topics. In this way, we learn and explore different new things together. So, without wasting time, let's continue our conversation. Hello, Vapi. Can you hear me?
So, how's your day going?
My day is going good. As you know, we are doing our live session at this time. Today, our topic is non-verbal communication, understanding body language, facial expressions, and gratitude and gestures.
That sounds grasps, like grabbing onto things?
Today, our topic is non-verbal communication, understanding body language, facial expressions, and gestures.
Got it. Nonverbal communication is so interesting. It's amazing how much we can say without even uttering a word, and body language can speak volumes, right?
Yes, so my first question is, what is non-verbal communication? How does it differ from verbal communication?
Nonverbal communication includes things like body language, facial expressions, gestures, and tone of voice. It's all about conveying messages without words. Verbal communication, on the other hand, is all about the words we use to communicate. So, nonverbal communication adds a whole other layer to our interactions.
Why is non-verbal communication important in personal and professional interactions?
Nonverbal communication is crucial because it can convey emotions, attitudes, and intentions that words alone might not be able to express. In personal interactions, it helps us connect with others on a deeper level, while in professional settings, it can impact how we are perceived and understood by colleagues, clients, and bosses. It's like the secret sauce that adds flavor to our conversations.
How much of communication is considered non-verbal according to experts?
Well, the experts say that around 7093% of communication is nonverbal. That's a huge chunk, right? It just shows how much we communicate through our body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice without even realizing it.
Yes, it is. Now my next question is, how does non-verbal communication complement or contradict verbal messages?
Nonverbal communication can complement verbal messages by adding emphasis, clarity, and emotional context to what's being said. It can also contradict verbal messages, creating confusion or highlighting discrepancies between what's being said and what's actually meant. It's like a dance between words and actions, and when they're in sync, it's a beautiful thing.
What are some common types of non-verbal communication?
There are so many body language, facial expressions, eye contact, gestures, posture, tone of voice, and even the distance between people when they're talking. It's like a whole unspoken language that we're constantly using without even realizing it. Pretty fascinating, right?
Yes. How does posture influence the way a person is perceived?
Posture can say a lot about a person. Standing tall with good posture can make someone appear confident, assertive, and attentive, while slouching or hunching over may make them seem disinterested or lacking in confidence. It's like wearing your attitude on the outside.
What are some common indicators of confidence in body language?
Some common indicators of confidence in body language include standing up straight, making eye contact, having open and relaxed gestures, using expansive gestures, and speaking clearly and assertively. It's all about owning the space you're in and exuding that inner confidence outwardly. Confidence is key, right?
Yes, it is. How can someone recognize nervousness through body language?
Nervousness can often be recognized through body language by signs such as fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, crossing arms or legs, sweating, trembling, or speaking with a shaky or hesitant voice. It's like the body's way of giving away our internal feelings, even if we're trying to hide them.
What role does personal space play in non-verbal communication?
Personal space is like our invisible bubble, and it can vary depending on cultural norms and individual preferences. It can convey intimacy, comfort, and boundaries. Invading someone's personal space can make them uncomfortable, while maintaining an appropriate distance can show respect and consideration. It's like an unspoken agreement on how close is too close, you know?
How does body language vary across different cultures?
Body language can vary widely across different cultures. For example, gestures that are perfectly acceptable in one culture might be offensive in another. Even things like eye contact, personal space, and posture can have different meanings and interpretations. It's like speaking a whole different nonverbal language in each culture. Pretty fascinating, right?
Can body language be controlled or trained to convey specific messages?
Absolutely, body language can be controlled and trained to convey specific messages. With practice and awareness, individuals can learn to use their body language to project confidence, assertiveness, or approachability. It's like mastering the art of silent communication.
What are some signs of defensive body language?
Defensive body language can include crossed arms, a tense posture, avoiding eye contact, leaning away from the person or situation, and even physical barriers like holding objects in front of the body. It's like the body's way of shielding itself from perceived threats or discomfort.
How can crossed arms be interpreted in a conversation?
Crossed arms can be interpreted in different ways depending on the context. They may indicate defensiveness, closed off. I think you got cut off there. Feel free to continue your thought.
Please repeat your answer.
Crossed arms can be interpreted in different ways depending on the context. They may indicate defensiveness, closed off attitude, or a desire to create physical barriers between oneself and others. It's like the body's way of putting up a shield.
How does open body language encourage positive interactions?
Open body language, such as uncrossed arms, facing the person directly, making eye contact, and having relaxed gestures, can encourage positive interactions by signaling openness, approachability, and attentiveness. It's like welcoming the other person in with open arms, both literally and figuratively.
What are some common mistakes people make with their body language in professional settings?
Some common mistakes people make with their body language in professional settings include avoiding eye contact, fidgeting excessively, using closed off gestures like crossing arms, slouching, and invading others' personal space. It's like accidentally sending the wrong signals when you're trying to make a good impression.
What are some common mistakes people make with their body language in professional and personal settings?
Some common mistakes people make with their body language in both professional and personal settings include avoiding eye contact, fidgeting excessively, using closed off gestures like crossing arms, slouching, and invading others' personal space. It's like accidentally sending the wrong signals when you're trying to make a good impression.
How universal are facial expressions across different cultures?
Facial expressions are pretty universal across different cultures. For example, a smile generally indicates happiness or friendliness, while a frown typically conveys sadness or displeasure. However, the intensity and frequency of certain expressions can vary across cultures, and some expressions may have different meanings in different places. It's like a global emoji language everyone understands to some extent.
What are six basic emotions commonly identified through facial expressions?
The six basic emotions commonly identified through facial expressions are happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, and disgust. These emotions are like the building blocks of our facial expressions, and they can convey so much without us even saying a word.
How can micro expressions reveal someone's true feelings?
Micro expressions are fleeting facial expressions that last for just a fraction of a second. They can reveal someone's true feelings because they occur early. The person has a chance to consciously control them. These tiny expressions can provide insight into a person's genuine emotions, even if they are trying to conceal them. It's like the truth peeking out for just a split second.
How accurate are facial expressions in indicating someone's emotions?
Our vision is pretty accurate when it comes to interpreting expressions and indicating someone's emotions. We're wired to recognize and interpret facial expressions, and our brains are really good at picking up on subtle cues. Of course, there can be some misinterpretations or cultural differences, but in general, we're quite good at reading emotions through facial expressions. It's like having a built in emotion decoder.
What are some signs of genuine smile versus a fake one?
Assistant that you can talk to like a person. So, how's your day going?
My day is going good. As you know, we are doing our live session at this time, and today our topic is non-verbal communication, facial expressions, gestures.
That sounds fascinating. That sounds interesting. Nonverbal communication is such a fascinating topic. It's amazing how much we can convey without saying a single word. So, what specifically are you looking to explore within the
We
realm of
discussed
nonverbal
this
communication?
topic. We discussed this topic in
Absolutely.
detail, one by one. I asked some questions from you, then we discuss our conversation in detail. So, my next question is,
That sounds
what are some signs of genuine smile versus fake one?
a genuine smile, also known as a Duchenne smile, involves not only the muscles around the mouth, but also the muscles around the eyes. When someone genuinely smiles, you'll see those crow's feet around the eyes crinkle up. A fake smile tends to just involve the mouth without the eye involvement. It's all in the eyes, they say.
Yes, it is. Now, my next
Glad you
question
agree.
is,
It's amazing how
how
much we can
does
pick up on just from
my
someone's
next
smile.
question is, how does eye contact influence communication?
Eye contact plays a crucial role in communication. It shows attentiveness, sincerity, and confidence. It can help establish a connection and convey interest in the conversation. Too much or too little eye contact can also send different messages, so it's important to find the right balance depending on the situation.
I agree with you. Now, my next question is, what does it mean when someone avoids eye contact?
Avoiding eye contact can indicate discomfort, shyness, or even dishonesty. It can also suggest lack of interest or confidence. However, cultural differences and individual preferences play a role in interpreting eye contact, so it's not always a clear cut sign.
So, my next question is, how can we avoid confusion when we speak someone?
To avoid confusion when speaking to someone, it's important to be clear and concise. Use simple language, organize your thoughts before speaking, and ask for feedback to ensure the other person understands. Nonverbal cues such as gestures and facial expressions can also help clarify your message.
How we maintain our balance of body language, eye contact, and how we confidently speak with other people.
Maintaining a balance of body language, eye physical presence and nonverbal cues can make it challenging to accurately interpret facial expressions in virtual communication.
Thank you for this wonderful answer. Now we move forward. What impact does facial tension have on perceived credibility?
Facial tension can impact perceived credibility because it can convey stress, discomfort, or insincerity. A tense or strained facial expression may lead others to perceive you as less credible or trustworthy. It's important to be aware of your facial tension and try to relax your facial muscles to appear more open and approachable, conveying credibility.
Can someone intentionally mask their true emotions through facial expressions?
Absolutely, people can intentionally mask their true emotions through facial expressions. This is often referred to as emotional masking or emotional suppression. It can be a conscious effort to hide true feelings, often for social or professional reasons. However, it's important to note that emotional masking can be challenging to maintain, as subtle facial microexpressions may still reveal true emotions.
What are some common hand gestures that convey positive messages?
Some common hand gestures that convey positive messages include the thumbs up gesture, the open palm gesture, and the handshake. These gestures are often associated with approval, openness, and friendliness, and are used to convey positive intentions and emotions.
How do gestures vary across different cultures?
Gestures vary widely across cultures and can have different meanings or interpretations. For example, the OK gesture in the United States may be interpreted as offensive in some South American and European countries. Similarly, the thumbs up gesture is positive in many Western cultures, but can be considered rude or vulgar in some Middle Eastern and Asian cultures. It's crucial to be aware of these cultural differences to avoid misunderstandings and show respect when using gestures in cross-cultural communication.
What is significance of pointing gestures in communication?
Pointing gestures serve as a nonverbal way to draw attention, indicate direction, or emphasize a point in communication. They can be used to highlight objects, people, or locations. However, it's important to be mindful of cultural norms and individual preferences when using pointing gestures, as they can be perceived differently in various cultures and contexts.
How can someone use gestures to emphasize their points in public speaking?
In public speaking, using gestures can help emphasize points and engage the audience. Gestures should be natural and expressive, matching the tone and content of the speech. Using open, expansive gestures can convey confidence and authority, while subtle, controlled gestures can add emphasis and create a connection with the audience. It's important to practice using gestures to ensure they enhance the message without being distracting.
What are some examples of negative and offensive gestures?
Negative and offensive gestures can vary by culture, but some examples include the middle finger gesture, the V sign with the palm inward in some countries, and the gesture of showing the sole of the foot. These gestures are considered rude, disrespectful, or offensive in many cultures and should be avoided in cross-cultural communication.
How do people use hand movements as gestures in communication?
Hand movements and gestures are used in communication to convey a wide range of meanings and emotions. They can emphasize a point, show agreement or disagreement, express excitement, or illustrate a concept. Hand movements can also add depth and nuance to verbal communication, making it more engaging and expressive.
What is importance of hand positioning during conversation?
Hand positioning during a conversation can convey a lot about a person's emotions and intentions. Open palm gestures can signal honesty, openness, and friendliness, while clenched fists or crossed arms may indicate defensiveness or hostility. Additionally, hand positioning can emphasize or reinforce verbal points, adding depth and clarity to the communication.
How can nervous gestures impact communication?
Novice gestures can impact communication by adding authenticity and warmth to the interaction. However, overusing gestures or using them inappropriately can be distracting or convey nervousness. It's important for novice gestures to be natural and aligned with the message being conveyed, enhancing rather than detracting from the communication.
What role do symbolic gestures play in professional settings?
Symbolic gestures can play an important role in professional settings by conveying respect, authority, and professionalism. For example, a firm handshake can signal confidence and trustworthiness, while a nod of the head can show attentiveness and agreement. Symbolic gestures can help establish rapport, build trust, and enhance communication in professional settings, conveying messages effectively without the need for words.
How does nonverbal communication differ in formal and informal settings?
In formal settings, nonverbal communication tends to be more controlled and deliberate, with an emphasis on professionalism and respect. Gestures are often more subdued, and body language. So, how's your day going?
My day is going good. As you know, we are doing our live session at this time on topic non-verbal communication. So my next question is, what is role of non-verbal communication in virtual meetings and video calls?
Ah, the age old question of nonverbal communication in virtual meetings and video calls. Well, nonverbal cues like facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice play a big role in how we understand each other. In virtual meetings, these cues can get lost in translation, so it's important to be mindful of how you present yourself on camera. Things like maintaining good eye contact, using expressive gestures, and being aware of your facial expressions can all help to convey your message effectively. Plus, it's always a good idea to minimize distractions in your environment and make sure your video and audio quality are top notch. After all, you want to make sure your nonverbal cues are coming through loud and clear, even if you're not saying a word.
Amazing. Totally agree with you. How can non-verbal cues indicate
Glad to hear.
deception or dishonesty?
Sorry, could you please clarify your question? It seems like there might have been a bit of a.
How can non-verbal cues indicate
If you have any more questions or need further assistance, feel free.
how can
I'm not
non
sure what you mean by use
how
ticket.
can
Could you please
non-verbal
provide?
cues indicate deception or dishonesty?
Ah, I see what you're getting at. Well, nonverbal cues can indeed provide signals that someone may be being deceptive or dishonest. For example, avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, or exhibiting nervous behaviors like sweating or trembling can be indicators of dishonesty. Inconsistencies between verbal and nonverbal cues can also raise red flags. However, it's important to note that these cues are not foolproof indicators of deception, and context is key.
What are
Sometimes people may exhibit these behaviors due to nervousness or anxiety.
my next question is
It seems like your
my
message got cut
my
off
next
there.
question
Could you
is
please?
what are challenges of interpreting non-verbal communication during cross-cultural interaction?
Great question. When it comes to cross cultural interactions, interpreting nonverbal communication can be a bit of a tricky task. Different cultures have their own unique set of nonverbal cues and gestures, and what may be perfectly normal in one culture could be completely misunderstood in another. This can lead to misinterpretations, misunderstandings, and even unintentional offense. It's important to be aware of these cultural differences and to approach cross cultural interactions with sensitivity and openness. Misinterpreting nonverbal cues in a cross cultural context can lead to breakdowns in communication and trust, so it's definitely a challenge worth being mindful of.
How does nonverbal communication differ in high stress situations?
In high stress situations, nonverbal communication can differ quite a bit. People under stress may exhibit physical signs of tension, such as muscle tension, rapid breathing, or fidgeting. Their facial expressions may also change, showing signs of worry, fear, or frustration. Additionally, their tone of voice may become more strained or shaky. In some cases, people under stress may also struggle to maintain eye contact or exhibit other avoidance behaviors.
How can
It's important to be mindful of these nonverbal
how
cues in
can
high stress
people be more
situations.
mindful of their non-verbal cues during interviews?
During interviews, being mindful of nonverbal cues is crucial. Here are a few tips to help people be more mindful. 1. Maintain good eye contact. This shows confidence and engagement. 2. Watch your body. It looks like your message got cut off there. Feel free to continue or let me know if you have any other
What are
questions.
some tips for improving non-verbal communication in leadership roles?
In leadership roles, nonverbal communication is super important. Here are a few tips for improving it. 1. Maintain open body language to show approachability and openness. 2. Use expressive gestures to emphasize your points. 3. Pay attention to your facial expressions and tone of voice to convey confidence and authority. And 4. Be mindful of your posture and personal space to command respect. These tips can help leaders communicate effectively through their nonverbal cues.
How can individuals become more aware of their own non-verbal communication habits?
Becoming more aware of your own nonverbal communication habits takes some practice and self reflection. One way to do this is by recording yourself during conversations or presentations and then reviewing the footage to see what nonverbal cues you're giving off. You can also ask for feedback from friends, colleagues, or mentors. Additionally, being mindful of your own body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice during interactions can help you become more aware of your nonverbal communication habits.
How can people better interpret non-verbal signals of others?
To better interpret nonverbal signals from others, it's important to pay attention to the context of the situation and to be observant of the person's body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. It can also be helpful to consider cultural differences and individual personality traits. Developing empathy and emotional intelligence can also aid in understanding the emotions and intentions behind nonverbal signals. Practice and experience can also improve your ability to interpret nonverbal cues from others.
What role does emotional intelligence play in understanding non-verbal communication?
Emotional intelligence plays a significant role in understanding nonverbal communication. It involves being aware of your own emotions and the emotions of others and being able to manage those emotions effectively. When it comes to nonverbal communication, emotional intelligence helps individuals pick up on subtle cues like body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice, and understand the underlying emotions and intentions behind them. It also allows for better empathy and connection with others, enhancing overall communication and relationships. So, emotional intelligence is a key factor in accurately interpreting and responding to nonverbal cues.
How can understanding body language, facial expressions, and gestures strengthen personal relationships?
Understanding body language, facial expressions, and gestures can significantly strengthen personal relationships. By interpreting these nonverbal cues, individuals can gain insights into the emotions, feelings, and intentions of others. This understanding can lead to better communication, empathy, and connection with friends, family, and colleagues. Additionally, being able to read nonverbal signals can help in resolving conflicts, building trust, and fostering positive interactions. Overall, it can enhance the depth and quality of personal relationships.
Time of our live session has ended. See you soon in another session with another amazing topic. Thank you so much for giving us wonderful information. Goodbye.
You're welcome. It was great. You're welcome. It was great chatting with you. See you next time. Goodbye.